Hi everyone, it's Brian here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So it's the first episode of 2022. I'm really excited to be back online sharing actionable tips and advice with you all. Had a nice Christmas break, a much needed one, but now we're back into the grind of things and I'm really looking forward to sharing more actionable tips and advice with you. And in today, we're going to be looking at 6 really fundamentally important tips for those of you who are maybe either new to the print on demand field or maybe perhaps just started in 2021 and are looking at ways to increase your exposure, your business, to take it up to the next level. It's a real informative episode and I think you're going to get a lot of value out of it. So with that said, stay tuned. Now, before we continue with today's episode, the fact that you're here gives indication that you are interested in all things pertaining to print on demand. And for that, I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this episode. And for those of you who have been following this channel since the start of it, I really want to thank you wholeheartedly for your subscription, for being part of this community, for the love and support that you've been giving me. I've really been honored and happy to interact with a good number of you through the emails and the comments that you put on this YouTube channel. So for that, I really want to say thank you again, and I'm really looking forward to providing you with a lot more actionable tips and advice in 2022 to help you take your print-on-demand business to the next level. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell notification icon so that you'll be informed each and every time that I upload a new video to my channel. I upload videos every Wednesday and Saturday, and as I stated earlier, the objective of this channel is to help you take your print-on-demand business to the next level. So with that said, let's start with today's episode. Okay, so the first tip that we're going to be talking about today pertains to good housekeeping. Now you might say, well, what do you mean by that, Brian? Well, given the fact that we have just started the first quarter of the business year, for those of you who may not be aware of how the business year is divided, well, the year is divided into 4 quarters, 3 months per quarter, and that means that since we are in January, the first quarter is between January and March. Now, during this particular time of the year, it does tend to be a little bit of the slower time of the business calendar. Why? Well, because we just got off the fourth quarter, which, as many of you know, is probably the busiest time for the retail industry, be it online or otherwise, with holidays like Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's. A lot of people spent a lot of money online in retail space. And now, obviously, January, a lot of people are receiving their bills and are trying to figure out how they're going to pay for everything that they bought. So it does tend to be a little bit slow, but that doesn't mean that it has to be the end of the world. As a print-on-demand seller, this is the ideal time to step back a little bit and do a bit of housekeeping with respect to your shop, particularly if you have a shop with over 100 designs or more. Now, what am I talking about with respect to good housekeeping? Well, for those of you who joined platforms like Redbubble in 2021, you're very well aware that Redbubble came out with a number of new products that were obviously on offer for our designs in order to market and hopefully to make more sales. Now, given the fact that these products were made available to us as shop owners, it doesn't necessarily mean that every design in our shop had these products activated. And this is the time of the year where you might want to consider going into your portfolio and just browsing through it and just ensuring that these new products like your mouse pad, the dad caps, and all of the other products that Redbubble put up for offer are actually activated for those designs. Now, you want to make sure also that it isn't just a blanket activation. You want to make sure that the designs that you previously uploaded do in fact look good on these new products. So it might involve a little bit of tweaking, maybe perhaps going back into Photoshop or Photopea or any of the other imaging editing programs that you might be using and just tweak the design a little bit so that it would actually look good on those particular products. Now, if it doesn't, as many of you know, and for those of you who are new to this channel will come to know, is that I am not a person who advocates for making sure that every single product is activated for a particular design, unless the design has been made to fit that product. If it doesn't, then I don't activate it because I would rather have just those products upon which the design looks really good on for my customers to see, rather than just going and turning on everything and activating everything carte blanche just to say, oh, I've got my design on all 95, 98, 100 products that that particular platform like Redbubble has to offer. So, given the fact that things will be a little bit slow, you may or may not see a lot of sales in the months of January and potentially even February. This is the time of the year where you need to go into your profile and just do a lot of tweaking and good housekeeping. And if there are designs which are dated, for example, I don't know, if you've got designs for 2020 where you actually have the year 2020 on it, or even to a certain extent 2021 or older.
Поїхали. Класно. А тепер навпаки.
You have to ask yourself, do you really need to have that activated on your shop? Is it a design that you want customers to discover when browsing through your shop? What kind of message would that be sending to the customer about you as a shop owner? For me, if I was a customer and I was seeing a shop that had a lot of designs with dates such as 2018, 19, 20, and maybe even 2021 to a certain extent, that might send a message to me that the shop owner is really not intent or interested on keeping his or her shop updated, fresh, getting rid of a lot of the clutter. And that might send a negative message to me as a customer saying, well, if the shop owner is not even taking the time to keep the shop fresh, maybe this is not the place that I want to spend my money. So I would highly encourage you that any designs that are clearly dated with a year, unless obviously it's like a birthday design, clearly you're not going to get rid of those. But I don't know, if it's something that's Happy New Year 2019, for example, you don't really need it on your shop anymore. Those are the designs that you want to really initiate some good housekeeping practices in and deleting them from your shop. This way, you're always going to have your freshest, most recent, most eye-catching designs up on your shop for customers to consider purchasing. Tip number 2 pertains to marketing. And here in the print on demand business, I would highly recommend that you try to keep a 70 to 30 mindset. Well, what do I mean by this? 30% of your time should be dedicated to creating eye-catching designs, whereas the other 70% should be dedicated towards marketing those designs. A lot of people have come up to me and told me, Brian, I've got all of these designs and I'm really not making any sales. And I go in and I look into their shops, and yes, they'll have 100, 300, 500, even up to 1,000 designs in their shop. But then when we look at, how many sales they've made, it's really not reflective to the amount of designs that they have up on the shop. And when I ask them, okay, well, what do you do with respect to marketing? I either get a blank look or else I receive emails with, a lot of excuses as to why that person couldn't market more of the designs on these social media platforms. And here is a fundamental mistake that a lot of new print-on-demand sellers make. Yes, you do want to make sure that you have as many designs as you possibly can in your shop, because many people say, hey, it's a numbers game. The more designs you have, the more sales you're going to make. But wouldn't it be great if you would just have, for example, 100 designs and making 500, 600 sales, as opposed to 1,000 designs and only making 100 sales? So it's a high time that we change our mindset a little bit. And yes, you do want to make sure you're dedicating your time to creating designs to keep your shop fresh and current, but you also want to make sure that you are dedicating a good portion of your time to be on these various social media platforms, showing your designs to potential customers who are browsing the internet through these social media platforms to learn more about your designs and hopefully clicking over to visit your shop, seeing what you have to offer, and hopefully making a sale. Now, how can you go about marketing more in 2022? Well, the first and most fundamental thing that I would highly encourage you to do is to increase your exposure, or if you haven't as yet, to subscribe to Pinterest. Yes, Pinterest is the third largest visual search engine on the planet after Google and YouTube. A lot of people throughout the year visit Pinterest in order to get ideas, whether it's do-it-yourself ideas for around the home or fashion ideas for their wardrobe. but they can also look for things that they might want to buy, be it for their home, their office, or even for the apparel that they wear. Now, Pinterest is a fantastic platform for you to utilize because of the fact that it's highly dependent on the visual aspect of a mock-up, the eye-catching aspect of a design on a model or a mug or whatever it is that you want to sell your design on. This is a place where you definitely want to double down on to make sure that you are getting exposure for your designs and indeed for your shop through this particular platform. And the best thing about it is that it is free. You don't have to spend a single cent in order to get your designs out there in front of people. What you do have to make sure is that you are consistent with Pinterest, because Pinterest, as many social media platforms, will not reward exposure if you're only on it a few times a week, or worse yet, a few times a month. You definitely want to make sure that you are showing up, if not on a daily basis, on an every other day basis, pinning different mock-ups of your designs onto Pinterest and keywording properly with the appropriate description and the relevant link to get people interested in coming to your shop. Now, in 2021, I published 3 different videos pertaining to Pinterest from a print on demand seller's point of view. And if you are new to the print on demand business, or if you haven't as yet started using Pinterest, I would highly encourage you to check out those videos. I'm going to leave links to those episodes in the description field down below. I would highly recommend that you watch them because it does take you through the setting up process, how to go about creating your pins, your boards, and how to create eye-catching pins to really grasp potential customers' attention and hopefully coming over to your shop and making a sale. Now, another thing that you want to do in terms of marketing your designs is to actually invest a little bit of money. Hold on a second. Don't go to red alert. Yes, I am saying spending a little bit of money in terms of buying some of your designs either on a t-shirt, on a mug, on a poster, on stickers, and actually using these products that you purchase when you're going out and about in your everyday life. Now, obviously, you might have stickers that you could put on your laptop case, on the cover of a journal. You could actually buy a journal with one of your designs on it, a notebook. You can actually buy shirts with your designs, and when you're going out and about, you could wear those shirts so that people are actually seeing you wearing your designs, and those curious enough and courageous enough might actually come up and ask you, say, hey, wow, that's a really cool design. Where did you get that? Okay, and this would be the best time for you to be able to market your shop via the best person who can market these products, these designs, and that would be you. You might also want to consider carrying some business cards with you so that if somebody does actually ask you where they can actually get one of these t-shirts or a design on any kind of product, you can give them your business card with the link to your shop, or rather with the website address to your shop, so that they can actually visit and actually browse through your shop and make the purchase. Now, what you also might want to consider doing is actually putting a QR code on your business card that would obviously link back to your respective print-on-demand shop so that people can actually just take their mobile, scan the QR code, and be taken to your print-on-demand shop and actually browse through via their mobile device. So you want to make it as easy as possible for people to find your shop and find your designs so they can consider buying. And one of the best ways to do so is to actually wear some of your designs out in public. Now, another thing that you can do with the products that you order is you can actually take photos of yourself or of them and post them on social media too as well. Remember, people love to see social proof. In this day and age when there are a lot of professional mock-ups out there being presented to people, people are now starting to become very aware as to what are professional mock-ups as opposed to photos taken by every Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Sally too. So if you take photos of yourself and you post them on social media, you're giving another taste of social proof to your potential customers for them to see those products being utilized in everyday life. And people tend to resonate a lot more with those particular types of photos when they are considering their purchases of either a t-shirt or a mug or a hoodie or what have you. So do invest in your designs. Purchase a few products, particularly when platforms like Redbubble or TeePublic or what have you are running sales, so that obviously the cost won't be that high. Get them, utilize them, market them through you using them both in public and through photos on your social media accounts. So now the last thing that I want to discuss with respect to marketing pertains to, showing your designs on both Instagram and Facebook and even to a certain degree Twitter. Try not to go always for the hard sell. This is my design on a shirt. This is my design on a mug. This is my design on a throw blanket. This is my design. This is my design. This is my design. It will start to, annoy people and it will turn them off. Instead, try to utilize your social media accounts to make it about them and not about you. What you want to try to do is you want to try and show your designs in a way that is going to improve their life somehow, some way. So when posting, try to create an interesting story, an interesting blurb. Again, it doesn't have to be a romance novel when you're posting it. But even if you are showing your design in an everyday manner without going for the hard sell, like saying, here, you can buy this from my Redbubble shop, or you can buy it from my TeePublic shop. And just post pictures of your designs in everyday life with a nice interesting quote or with a nice interesting saying, and just allow people to enjoy your design in the photo on the product that you are showcasing over there without going for the hard sell. And in this way, if they are really interested in it and would really like to get it, then the onus will be on them to try and get in touch with you in order to see how they can get their hands on that particular design on whatever product it is that they wish to get. So in 2022, I want to challenge each and every one of you to be a little bit more adventurous and experiment a little bit more with your designs, particularly if you've been at this game for quite some time. Very often we tend to fall into a particular mindset in terms of how to go about designing, and we're a little bit, hesitant to try something new, which might potentially lead to greater sales down the road for fear of making a mistake. But guys, the truth of the matter is, the only thing that's costing you when you make a mistake is your time in terms of the design making process. And if it doesn't pan through or if it flops, well, at least you would have learned what not to do in the future. But you know what? If it actually succeeds and you really hit on something really amazing, well, the profits down the road could be quite high if it resonates greatly with customers. So don't be afraid to try something new. If you make a mistake, you just hit the delete key and move on and try something new. It doesn't cost you anything more than your time. Also, be sure to keep your eyes out for exciting and profitable things when you're out and about, whether you're driving into town, taking the bus or the subway to work or to school, or whether you're watching something on television. You never know when that interesting saying or that idea is going to pop into your mind that when you sit down in front of your computer and start designing for it, could be the key to really making something amazing and really resonate with people and actually making a lot of money from the sales of that particular design. So always be aware and don't forget to be adventurous. Okay, the next tip that I want to discuss with you very briefly pertains to keywording. Now, for those of you who are new to the print-on-demand business, after the actual design itself, keywording is probably the next most important aspect of a good print-on-demand seller. Why? Because it's those keywords which are going to get your designs out in front of potential customers. Now, you really want to be careful when you are choosing your keywords. A lot of people do tend to take the easy route out of it and just simply slap whatever keywords they can think about pertaining to the design without really giving a lot of thought. And with the fact that the print-on-demand market has become very, very saturated with designs, it's never been more important than today to make sure that the keywords that you choose are actually going to help your design to be seen in front of as many people as possible. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, if you're creating a design about a dog, if you have to go onto Redbubble and type in dog, Redbubble is going to come back with results in the millions. And really, in truth, how realistic is it going to be for your design to be found by people in a marketplace with listings in the millions? You're not going to get found. And if you're not going to get found, you're not going to sell. And if you're not going to sell, it's going to be demotivating and it's going to put you down. So instead, what you need to do is when you're coming up with your keywords, you want to try to utilize long tail keyword phrases to make sure that the results that your designs are going to be competing against is going to be under 1,000 results. Anything under 1,000 and you've got a really great chance of being seen and hopefully making the sale. Anything above 1,000 to 10,000, it's quite cautionable that you might be found, but the chances are you probably won't. Anything more than 10,000 upwards, and you know what? If it's me, I don't even consider using that particular keyword. Instead, I focus my attention on creating long tail keyword phrases. If you don't know how to create long tail keyword phrases, I've got a number of episodes that I published in 2021. I'll leave the links to those episodes in the description field below. Click on them, watch them. I go through it step by step in a manner that is easy to understand. And if you still have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me via the comment field below, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you and answer your questions accordingly. So keywords are fundamentally important, now more so than ever. You want to make sure that you choose the right keywords that are going to get your designs up in front of the eyes of potential customers. Don't slack on that, because if you do, it's only going to pay you one way. Your designs will be lost in the abyss of the marketplace, never to see the light of day. And you don't want that. Not after all the time you spend creating the designs, thinking and researching it. Those keywords are important. Give it the time that it needs. The next tip is to invest in yourself. Now, what do I mean by this? More often than not, we've always heard the phrase that, making money online doesn't cost money. And to a certain degree, there is some logic to that, but in the long term, it doesn't pay you. Why? Well, if you had to take some time and spend a little money on investing in yourself via a course or through some support or through some mentorship to challenge you, to give you some advice that's more specific to your realities as opposed to, these generic realities that one finds oneself in when listening to YouTubers like myself and all of these other YouTubers who are teaching about print on demand. And to a certain degree, the advice being given on these channels, myself included, is sound. But sometimes you just need to go a little deeper into yourself and invest in a good quality course, program, mentorship to really keep you on track, particularly if you are not seeing sales coming in. Now, you might say to yourself, well, if I'm not making sales, why would I want to spend more money? I'm just going to dig myself deeper into the hole. Well, yes, at the beginning, that might be the perception. But in learning to hone your skills, be it in the design making aspect, in the marketing aspect, in presenting your designs to the public, maybe the terminology that you are using in your copy is not the best that it could be. Spending that little bit of money on yourself to improve in these aspects could just be the key in terms of making your designs that much more appealing to potential customers, and in doing so, they will buy more of your designs, and the more designs that are bought, the more the algorithms are going to show your designs to customers who may or may not know about you, and it's like a big snowball effect. So that little bit of money spent towards improving yourself is going to make your overall design making skills, your overall product that you're offering to your customers that much better. And again, like I said, it's a snowball effect, and it will cascade and good things will come down the road. So don't be afraid to fork out a little bit of money in order to improve yourself and your business. After all, when you look at these brick and mortar retail outlets, they spend money on product. They spend money on advertising in their shops. They spend money on their staff to make sure that they're welcoming and treating the customers in the best possible way. You, in turn, need to do something similar, but in terms of you, improving you as the shop owner, as the design maker, as the copywriter, as the marketer. In print on demand, we have to do all of these jobs ourselves unless we're very well endowed with money to be able to hire people out for these things. So if you're unable to do that and you have to do it yourself, don't be afraid to invest that little bit of money into you so that you can become better at your trade and actually take your shop to the next level. And then when you're actually in that next level, you can actually hire people to do those things for you so that you can then focus on what you love doing, and that is designing. Okay, so the final tip that I want to share with you for 2022 is to be disciplined and consistent. And to a certain degree, I would actually add in be patient. A lot of people who I've come across in 2021 who are starting out in the print-on-demand business, come across me and said, "Oh, but I was actually led to believe that you can make money in a flash, that it's a lucrative business model, and you can become a millionaire overnight." I don't want you to believe everything that you hear on the internet, particularly if they come across and saying, "Oh, you can make $1,000 in 24 hours, or you can make $10,000 in a month, or you can make $100,000 in a year." Chances are, if it's too good to be true, then it really isn't true. Instead, what I want to encourage you to do is to be disciplined with yourself, to be consistent with yourself, and to be very, very patient. The print on demand business is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Now, what I want to encourage you to do in 2022 is to be disciplined in terms of setting goals for yourself. What is it that you want to achieve in 2022? Is it maybe perhaps that you've started a new shop and you want to have 100 designs by, May of 2022? Or that maybe you want to have 1,000 designs by the end of the business year? Is it maybe perhaps that you want to be a little bit more proactive with respect to your marketing? Whatever the goals that you've decided that you want to do, I want you to write down your goals on a sheet of paper, put it away someplace, and then revisit it every 3 months and ask yourself, have I been disciplined to those goals? Have I achieved them? Is there something that I can build upon them? Can I go a step further with respect to those goals? And then, in addition to that, I want you to be consistent with respect to everything that I've spoken about in today's episode, particularly with respect to the marketing. You need to find a certain time in the day where it's comfortable for you, where you're not going to feel overstressed at the fact that you have to do it. Get away from any kind of distractions. Sit down to a computer or sit down to a tablet or whatever device. Hey, if it's a mobile device, use that too as well. And just get to being consistent in terms of showing up on the social media platforms that you actually contribute to. So whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, whatever social media platform you are utilizing to market your designs, be consistent and actually show up every day and post something. Even if you just make one post and reconfigure it for the various different social media platforms that you contribute to, be there and do it. The algorithm will see your consistency and it will reward you handsomely by showing your posts to people who may or may not even know about you as a person or your social media account. And the more that you do it, the easier it will become. You ingrain it into your routine and you will find yourself actually going to do it subconsciously without even thinking about it. And to a certain extent, and it's happened to me, is that when you don't do it, you start getting frustrated at the fact that you haven't actually sat down and actually, put your posts up in order to show people about your fantastic designs and what it is and how it's going to help them if they were to purchase it on whatever product that you have it uploaded on. So make sure you are consistent and disciplined. And finally, patience is a virtue. You're not going to become a millionaire overnight. If you do make $100 in a month, consider that a great month. And as you continue to grow and gain in experience and your portfolio continues to expand and the quality of your designs continues to improve upon, you're going to see that monthly amount continue to grow as people become more aware of your shop. And if they can put their trust in you, that you're providing them with good quality designs, designs that resonate with them, designs that show that you've taken the time of day to actually commit to them and make them the best that you can possibly be. Remember, they don't need to be excellent. They just need to be good enough that is going to resonate with people, because then on the flip side, you don't want to get yourself caught in, oh, it's not good enough here, it's not good enough there, it's not good enough there. More often than not, those little nuances of a design that we think isn't good enough won't even be considered by a customer when they are looking to purchase a design on a t-shirt or what have you. So make sure that it's good enough, that it looks great, it's properly placed on every single product you have activated, and customers will see that you are a quality driven seller, somebody who is dedicated to your craft, and they will reward you handsomely through their purchase and their return patronage. So discipline, consistency, and patience. So basically, those are the 6 tips that I wanted to share with you for 2022. Do you have any other tips that you think others might be interested in learning about? If you do, drop them in the comments field below. And let's start a discussion about them. The more that we can communicate with each other, the more that we can collaborate with each other, the more that we can grow as a community by providing good quality designs, support to each other, the better our whole print-on-demand experience is going to be. We're going to grow together as a community, and we're going to reach greater levels and new heights with our print-on-demand shops together as well. But for today, that's all I've got. And as always, be safe, be well, be creative. Bye for now.